This is a part of Queensland that belies the stereotype. The powerhouse markets are in the heart of the inner city seat of Brisbane, where Liberal moderate and Assistant Minister for Waste Reduction Trevor Evans is seeking a third term.
I'm loving all the messaging, it's positive.
Yep. The job of an MP is to be a good representative for their area, and I feel in many ways that I have been a good representative for this area.
Good morning, how are you? That's good.
Arguably his main competitor is businesswoman and Labor candidate Madonna Jarrett.
My vote.
Oh, good on you, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
I really
eh?
appreciate
Righto.
it, thank you.
Thank you.
What I'm up against is the fact that the people of Brisbane have been left behind by Scott Morrison and the LNP.
And there's a third element in this part of Queensland that also goes against the stereotype. Relatively strong support for the Greens.
We want a safe climate for them to grow up in.
Yeah, definitely.
We're running to win this seat. We're not running to pressure anyone else or to try and get Labor to be more progressive. We're running to represent the community in this seat.
While most of Queensland swung sharply to the LNP in 2019, 3 Brisbane seats bucked that trend. Ryan, Griffith and Brisbane all recorded a primary Greens vote of more than 20%. To what extent is the support for the Greens in this seat a sign of dissatisfaction with what Labor has to offer?
Can I tell you, I've got my eye on one prize, and that's winning this seat for Anthony Albanese and Labor. That's what really matters.
Why do you think there's this growing interest in the Greens?
What there is a growing interest in why Scott Morrison has let people down.
The Greens in Brisbane came within a whisker of matching Labor's primary vote in 2019. And the party is hoping it can better that result with a focus, once again, on climate change.
We've knocked on thousands of doors, talked on the phones to thousands of voters, and climate change in Brisbane is by far and away the biggest issue that voters bring up with us completely unprompted.
Climate change continues to divide the coalition, with Queensland National Party figures speaking out against the government's net zero policies. Does that very public division within the coalition over climate change make it more difficult for you in this electorate?
I think people are shocked to hear that the other parties don't allow that sort of public dissent. The coalition is the only side of politics that allows MPs to cross the floor and to have conscience votes in many instances. And while at times that can appear messy, it also means that we're probably the party that's best able to continue to keep a majority of Australians together going forward.
Trevor Evans has also been promoting other environmental credentials, in particular his commitment to recycling, sending out a glossy flyer with a distinctive green cover. Is that your attempt to appeal to would-be Green voters?
My branding has been like that for a number of years now, I guess.
So a little bit green?
Absolutely.
The election comes in the aftermath of major flooding, which affected just about every suburb in the Brisbane electorate. And although the Prime Minister made a personal visit during the clean-up, he later got caught up in a dispute with the state government over additional disaster relief funding.
I think we've seen over some time now a real politicisation, and it's very unfortunate, a real politicisation of natural disasters.
The federal government later backed down.
I'm very, very pleased that the Prime Minister was able to listen to myself and some of my other colleagues here in southeast Queensland and has been able to come to the party and provide some very significant co-funding that will make a difference to the rebuilding efforts here in Brisbane.
Morrison had to be dragged kicking and screaming to actually come in and provide that flood recovery aid. And then when that flood recovery came, it was a third of what those south of the border got.
Flood disaster assistance remains an important issue in this low-lying part of Brisbane, where the clean-up has been a long, hard slog. But for Milton business owner Marcus Neeson, the politics of recovery funding leaves him cold. So it's not going to really affect your vote either way?
I would like to vote for myself, to be honest. I reckon in 12 months I'd have the whole joint sorted out, seriously.
Do you think there's a change in the wind?
Hard to say.
This political disengagement with the major parties was also evident at the Merthyr Croquet Club. Alistair Kelsey is so disillusioned, he even joined a minor party with a focus on integrity issues. It's called Federal ICAC now. Given the fact that the Prime Minister has ruled out a federal ICAC, are you leaning more towards Labor?
If the Labor policy, and I haven't read it, but if the Labor policy was more open to introducing an ICAC, yes, I would lean more towards Labor.
And what about the Greens?
Yeah, look, I saw Adam Bant the other night Google it, mate, and actually that impressed me, the fact that he was trying to bring it back onto politicians having to have good ideas.
Brisbane is by no means the LNP's most marginal seat, with Labor needing a swing of 4.9%. But it's an electorate that's more sensitive than most to issues like climate change and integrity. And if the mood at the powerhouse markets is any guide, a lot of the electorate has either yet to engage or is only just now starting to pay attention. Have you been following the federal election?
For me personally, anyone who backs environmental friendliness, who backs, I guess, resourcefulness, I'm for them. So,
and who's doing the best job to convince you so far? Labor, Liberal, or the Greens?
Liberal, yep.
Which side impresses you the most?
Hard to say. I think I'm back in Elbow at the moment.
For Labor, it's a test of how much progress the party has made federally in Queensland since its dismal 2019 campaign.
If they want real action on climate change, if they want accountability, that's what Labor can offer the people of Brisbane.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.